Welcome to the Swim Swam podcast. I'm today's host, Coleman Hodges, and joining us today, we have got two World Cup superstars, the number one and number two overall female performers from this year's World Cup circuit, Kate Douglas and Regan Smith. This episode of the Swim Swam podcast is sponsored by Commit Swimming, Swim Swam's exclusive team management software partner. Since 2015, Commit has been providing coaches with swimming's leading workout management software. And now, Commit has team management software too. Commit wants to help you make the switch from Team Unify to a simpler, more powerful solution. Their onboarding and customer service team will walk you through every step of the way. Check them out at commitswimming.com to book your demo today. That's COMMIT swimming.com. Let me just list off a few stats here. For Kate Douglas, she was the overall World Cup champion on the women's side, 184,000 total earnings over the 3-meet series. She broke a 15-year-old world record in the 200 breast. This is short course meters. And then she broke it again, 2 world records, 6 American records across the World Cup series. As for Regan Smith, she was number 2, right behind Kate Douglas, at 152,000 in total earnings, 3 world records, 2 in the 100 back, 1 in the 200 back, 5 American records. That is combined 5 world records, 11 American records, and over 330,000 in total earnings. What's up, Kate and Regan? How are you doing?
We're good.
We're jet lagged, but we're good.
Jet lagged, yeah. We've really missed spending time with each other. We didn't get enough for those
No,
things.
we didn't. But we have been texting each other every morning at like 3 a.m. saying, "Are you awake?"
Yep.
The other one goes, "Yup."
Yep.
You up?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, it's not awesome. I'm sorry. Both jet lagged,
Okay.
but hopefully it's gotten better throughout the week.
Yeah, it's getting better.
I'm so excited to hear both of your perspectives on this World Cup because you two were in part what made it so exciting to watch for fans like myself and hopefully everyone listening. Regan, I'm going to throw this to you first, but just to get this started, just your overall experience after having about 5 or 6 days to just kind of digest, hopefully get over some jet lag. What are your overall thoughts on this World Cup circuit for you?
I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I could. And going into it, I already figured that it would be like a really, really fun experience. But I don't want to speak for both of us, but I can assume Kate feels pretty similar. Like, it was just a blast. Like, we were attached to the hip for 3 weeks straight, and we were having fun swimming and traveling. And I think going into Shanghai, we had literally no idea how we were going to do. At least I didn't. I was kind of like, yikes, this might go really, really bad for me. But oh well, because at least like we're having fun, and like we were meeting so many new people. And like having a lot of fun with like the different cultures that we were experiencing and the food. We are both kind of picky, and so we struggled a lot with the food. But I don't know, just the whole thing was like so cool, and I love new experiences. And so that was just like a bucket list trip for me, I'd say. But yeah, I think the biggest shock for me personally was my performances. Because I was pretty transparent with you, Coleman, when we had our last podcast together back in, I can't remember if that was August or September, but I was like, yeah, I'm like training, but like not really. And I'm bouncing around a lot between Austin and ASU, and I'm in Phoenix right now. And so, yeah, I wasn't in terribly great shape, and I wasn't really, that mentally locked in and like ready to go. But honestly, I think that was kind of the key, because I was able to swim very freely and like free of like anything mentally going on up here. Like, I just wasn't stressed out about my performances and my results. And then I think that really ended up working in my favor. Like, it's a lot easier to go fast when you're not like freaked out and nervous. You know what I mean? So, it ended up working out really, really well. And it was just like an A+ for experience, for performance, for friendships that we made. Maybe not necessarily for food because we are really picky, but it was like so much fun. Like I can't stress that enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Kate, just same question. Your overall thoughts on the circuit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Reagan said. It was definitely just like a very unique experience, like so different from anything I've ever done before. But yeah, I feel like it really was cool getting there, and like all of us were kind of like us and the other swimmers were all like, no one's really swam that much, since the Olympics, and everyone was kind of like, I'm not in great shape. I have no idea how I'm gonna do, and I feel like that kind of just made it more fun because we were all like, well, let's just see what happens. And yeah, it just was very like low pressure, low stakes. And I think that helped all of us, swim a little bit faster than we thought we would. And yeah, I feel like it was a great like learning experience for me, just like figuring out how to be there all alone. Like everyone's like, was your coach with you? I'm like, no, we were just on our own. Like me and Reagan would just like, we'd get up early, we'd go do our practices on our own. And like, it was hard, but like, I feel like I'm really impressed with how we handled that. And just like, yeah, our like ability to, practice on our own and kind of keep our motivation going. Because towards the end, the motivation to keep training by yourself definitely was like going down. But everyone was in it together, and we held ourselves together. And yeah, like obviously we performed way better than we thought. And yeah, it just was such a cool experience, just traveling and meeting new people and just everything that it involved.
Oof. All right. There's so much to break down here. I'm so excited. So first off, we got some good questions from our Instagram. We did a little poll, but I am curious. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you two kind of planned this to do together pre-Olympics. We had a lot of people who were curious about the blossoming of your friendship and just how you guys' relationship has developed over the years. But can you tell me just a little bit about the planning of this trip and why you guys wanted to do it post-Olympics and why you guys wanted to do it together?
Do you want to start?
Sure, I'll start. Yeah, I mean, for a meet like this, you kind of have to, like, we kind of had to commit to World Aquatics that we were doing this back in the spring. And so obviously it was a little nerve-wracking because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to want to do this after the Olympics, but it just kind of seemed like an experience I didn't want to say no to. But I feel like this year is kind of just all about new experiences and having fun with swimming. And so that was why I wanted to do it. But I also was like, I'm not doing this by myself. And so me and Reagan were kind of, both talking about, if we wanted to do it or not, and how we would only do it if the other one was doing it. Because doing something like that on your own would just be really hard. And so, I wasn't going to do it if Reagan wasn't doing it. That was like that was, I feel like, what made the decision for both of us. Was just knowing that the other was also going to do it, and it'd be kind of a fun experience that we do together.
Yeah, and I really like follow Kate's lead on a lot of things. Kate's in charge in the friendship, and so we were like,
I wear the pants.
It's true, she does, and I love it.
She wears the tech suit.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, we were like figuring things out in like May, I think. It was like pretty close to trials. And honestly, it was kind of a fun little distraction, like planning that trip and like figuring things out with World Aquatics. And like Kate said, it was kind of nerve-wracking because it was at the same time, like it was nice to have that distraction, but it was also like, gosh, we're about to go into like a very difficult like 2.5 months. And then we have to think about a whole nother meet after that. But I knew that I like wanted to spend the fall being like pretty booked and busy just because I like bluntly wasn't ready to like start my new life in Austin yet. And so I was like, I want to be bopping around here, there, traveling, like spending time with Kate. And I think another reason why we wanted to do it together was because we rarely get to see each other. Like after summer trips, it's like, okay, like I'll see you at Golden Goggles. And then after that, it's like, maybe see you at a tier pro or like at some point in this, like it just sucks. Like we have a long distance friendship and that's so sad for us. So I think we were both just excited to have like another opportunity to spend more time together too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Distance is hard. And especially when, like you said, the built-in meetups are like, Golden Goggles, which is like what, 36 hours or something.
If that, yeah.
Like nothing. Yeah.
And like a pro swim series where you're like doing your job and like maybe you get dinner together or something.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of built-in time.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
So so you plan this trip. I am curious, did you have any expectations heading into the meet? Like you get through the Olympics, you're like, okay, World Cup time. I don't know how much you guys were in the pool before. I know you mentioned like not a lot, but were you thinking like, oh, I could earn some money, maybe I could break some records? Maybe I'm totally just going here to have fun. Were there any expectations maybe the week before or just right when you were heading in?
I mean, I guess for me, like obviously I knew there was like money involved with it, but I feel like I was kind of just trying to take the pressure off. And me and Reagan, I feel like I remember we were texting kind of like a few weeks after the Olympics, and we were like, "Have you started swimming yet?" Like I'm swimming really slow right now. Like I don't know how this is gonna go. And I feel like the whole time I was kind of just like, I don't know if I'm gonna be in shape yet for this, because it was important to me to like take a break and not like put too much pressure on myself in training leading up to this. And I feel like most people just kind of, I feel like we were just like training a little bit here and there. And so then I feel like going into this, I didn't really have any expectations. I was like, it doesn't really matter how I do at all. I feel like that was the big thing for us, was that obviously it would be nice to like win some money and swim well, but also it doesn't really matter at all if we don't. And I feel like, it helped that we kind of just went in with like no expectations at all.
Yeah. I had my only goal was to make some money to like offset all of my living expenses, since I'm doing like double duty rent right now because I have 2 apartments, and I'm like very like careful with my money. Like I get very stressed out, and so I'm like, okay, well, if I'm spending extra money here with my apartments, like I really want to go to World Cup and try to win something so I can like offset my expenses, just because I stress myself out for no reason. So that was my goal. But yes, like Kate and I were texting all fall, and I feel like it was the same thing every week, where it was like, yeah, like this week was rough, like didn't really do much this week. And then Kate went to the Paralympics to watch Allie, so like that was another week where she was out, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything either. Like I went home for
she's
a
out,
week.
I'm out.
Exactly.
We were like,
Yeah.
oh, she's not swimming, it's fine.
Like, yes, like literally, I feel like we were each other's like safety blankets. And like every day that I would go to practice at ASU, I was getting bodied by all of my teammates. Like it was just so embarrassing. Like the amount of like active rest IM sets that I would just get like trampled by like so many girls on the team. I would be going like 4th in my lane, and I was just like, okay, like great. So I had no idea.
Mhm.
And I think my expectation, like performance wise, I was expecting to really not do that well, and I thought that it would be a really good like test mentally, because Kate and I, obviously we both hold ourselves to very high standards, and we're both used to performing pretty well, pretty consistently. And so I was kind of like, hey, this might be a good test for me. Like if things really don't go well for me, I was kind of planning for that. Like I wasn't taking the fall training very seriously. And I knew that like I wasn't at my best, so to say. So then it would be, kind of interesting to see then how I handle like truly not performing very well, and like see what that does to me mentally. Like I felt like it could have been a good mental practice. And so I was like, hey, no matter what, like if I get last place or if I break a world record, like I'm still going to learn something from this experience. And so that was really the mentality that I was trying to have. Obviously way easier said than done. Like it's a lot more fun when you're doing well. And I am glad it went that way, obviously.
We ended up doing well, so
yeah. But I think I was trying to like, remind myself like all the things that I could still learn, like even if it went really, really bad. Like the 2 fly, for example, did not go well, and I feel like I learned a lot from that. So like that's okay. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was my thought.
Didn't you almost break an American record in that?
Well, the first weekend, yes, I stumbled through that, and I was very like pleasantly surprised with the results. And then the next week, I added like a second and a half, and I was like, oh, Like, So then Kate knows this. I was terrified for the 2 back then in Korea. Like, she was, in the locker room with me getting my tech suit on, and I was like, "Dude, I don't wanna do this. Like, what if I add 2 seconds in this just like I did in the 200 fly?" And she was like,
Yeah,
"It's
and
not
I
gonna
wasn't a lot of
happen."
help because I was like, "I don't wanna do the 2 IM." And then I scratched
Yeah,
it.
'cause she scratched, so she wasn't racing that night, and I was like, "Girl, I don't wanna do this either. I'm so jealous of you." Oh my god. That was crazy. Yeah.
That it's I thought it was interesting the way they formatted it to incentivize you to really only swim 3 events, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
how do you feel like that played out as the meets went on? And I don't know, maybe as you got more in shape or less, more tired, just as it played out. Yeah, again, as you just mentioned, like you scratched the 2 IM because it's like, well, I don't really need to swim this to
Yeah.
maximize my winnings.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I loved that only 3 events counted because otherwise, I mean, me and Reagan both probably would have, like, killed ourselves trying to do more events and, like, just making ourselves miserable, like, adding events into our lineup, and, again, this meet was about having fun, and swimming the 2 IM just wasn't sounding very fun to me, and I was like, "Why would I do this to myself? Like, I literally don't need to," you know? And so I was lucky that I had 3 other events that were going pretty well and I could focus on that, because I think that definitely helped me just have more fun and relax a little bit just because the 2 IM like adds a lot of stress. And I also like didn't feel like I was like in perfect shape to swim a 200 IM. I felt like the other races I could kind of get by doing at that moment. But yeah, that race I just was like, yeah, I don't need to do it. And so I was very happy that, it's kind of like a 3 event limit there. You didn't really have to do more. Because yeah, I think obviously we would have done more if we needed to. And that would have just, maybe made us a little bit more upset.
Take
Yeah,
on the
I
Iron
think
Lady
that
schedule.
yeah, I was just
Yeah.
thinking that because, like, I did the World Cup in, 2016 with the junior
Mm.
team, and I just remember Katinka did every event under the sun,
Mhm.
and so she literally just did, like, a 2-hour practice, for prelims and finals, like, it just looked exhausting, and she made bank, but, like, at what cost? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
not worth it.
Not worth it, I don't think, and so, yeah, I think it would've made things a lot more stressful for us,
Mhm.
and we just were not in a place where we wanted to do that whatsoever
Yeah.
at all.
That now that you say it, like it seems nice, maybe even on World Aquatics part, like I'm wondering if they're like, you know what, it's only 3 meets and it's right after the Olympics. Like maybe maybe we make it put a system in place to where they're only swimming a few events so that we can get better performances and they're not so burnt out.
Yeah,
But
maybe so.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Or
so one
don't.
person doesn't go and win every single event
Yeah,
at one meet.
it gets old.
Yeah. 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 But I as a swimming fan, I would have loved to see you guys take on 6 events each, but I also love seeing people live their truths. And if 3
Mhm.
events per meet is like what made it the most fun, then I'm all
Yeah.
in.
I mean, yeah, I will say I did wish I could like try out some other events, but with like the Triple Crown bonusing, it was kind of like you can't switch up. Like if I was going to win the events, like why would I switch it up? That'd be silly. Because obviously I
Yeah.
would have loved to do like a 50 free, maybe some like 150 breaststroke, but obviously that just wouldn't have made sense to add those in if I was just trying to win the same 3. So that was the only thing that I wish I could have done, but it just didn't make sense to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, like, it would've been fun to do, like, some off events, but
Yeah.
then and I hate to view it like this, but I feel like as the series went on and, like Kate mentioned with, like, the Triple Crown bonuses, I feel like doing that just would've felt like a waste.
Mhm.
But it also, like, it's fun to do stuff that you
Yeah.
don't normally do, you know? So,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know commenters were begging for it. It was like, oh, we want to see X person in X event, but at the same
Mhm.
time, it's like, oh yeah, I'll just do that at the cost of $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to make that decision.
Yeah, it doesn't really. I can swim an off event some other time in the season.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's get into a little more specifics of the series. Shanghai is the first stop. How was the travel to China?
I mean, the travel was fine. It just was a long travel day, you know, and then we were really jet lagged like the first 2 or 3 days there. It was bad. I remember we were the only ones up at 6 a.m. the next morning, and we were the only ones in the pool. Like everyone else showed up at like 9:30 or like 10, and we had already finished our 2 hour practice because we literally just like weren't sleeping. And then I remember that like the second day we were there, it was like 5 p.m. and we were just falling
Oh
asleep.
my God.
It was just like the worst feeling ever.
We were
But
in so much pain.
yeah, I feel like pushing through that to like continue training was hard. And so it makes sense why we got better as the stops went on, because I feel like that first stop was just, we weren't feeling our best. Definitely.
No.
Yeah.
We were struggling so bad. Like we had this gorgeous like excursion too with World Aquatics in Shanghai where we went on like a river tour or whatever, and we were literally on our deathbeds.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, it was not good. Like we needed to go to sleep so badly, and looking back, I wish I had like soaked in that excursion more, because when's the next time we're gonna go to Shanghai? But yeah, no, jet lag kicked our butts at that stop. Like it was rough. We were texting each other every single night, like just unable to sleep, and like, oh, it was rough.
It was
Yeah. They put me on coffee on that trip. I'm not a coffee drinker, and I had it like, I feel like half a dozen times because of her.
It was the only thing keeping us alive.
Yeah.
How was the coffee in China?
Not bad.
It was not bad, pretty good. I mean, I feel like all hotels have pretty decent coffee these days.
Yeah.
I make it work.
Yeah.
We did
We were
find a
also-
Starbucks, so that
Yeah,
was,
we did find a Starbucks.
Okay.
That was fun.
that was
And we were also using the hotel coffee mugs to put our oatmeal in every day.
yeah. We did bring a lot of snacks, which I think was a great idea. I brought so many snacks, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna eat these, and then they were all gone like halfway through the trip. We brought like
I
so
didn't
much
buy
oatmeal.
more.
Yeah, so we were making a lot of oatmeal in our rooms for a little midday snack.
Nice.
Yeah.
What place of the 3 stops, what place had the best snacks and or food?
I mean, I feel like Singapore was just like the best for that because it was more accessible to get snacks. I don't know, everywhere else we were was like, it was just like hard to like get around. I don't know, it wasn't like very easy, but in Singapore, I feel like it was, I don't know, we had more like American options.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's just kind of easier to find things there. And I also ordered things on Amazon to the hotel in Singapore because I needed it. Ordered
Well,
some
we would get like McDonald's and Subway as a snack in Singapore like every single day. And I will say our hotel in Korea, the one that they moved us to, I mean, they didn't have snacks, but they had really, really, really good
There were like
restaurants.
20 restaurants.
Yeah.
So we had options.
We were in a time warp. That was the weirdest experience ever. But
yeah.
Say you were in a time warp?
It like I don't even
feel real.
Every time we were walking around, we just look at each other and be like, "Where are we?"
It just was like a giant resort / like mall.
Oh.
It was just, we were just like, what is going on?
You know, like Coleman, you know, like the back rooms on TikTok. Have you seen that trend?
I feel like only a few people know that. But
about the back rooms?
If anyone knows what the back rooms are, it was literally like
it was the back rooms. We were so scared. And then there was one night, I'm sorry, I'm going on such a tangent. At like 2 a.m. when the fire alarm went off.
Yeah.
And it was this like apocalyptic siren. It was not your like run-of-the-mill fire alarm in America. It was like a scary like tornado sounding siren, and then someone would speak over the intercom, but they were speaking in Korean.
So we had no idea what was going on.
I was terrified. I like texted Kate immediately, and I was like, "What is going on right now?" And then we woke up the next morning, and the alarm had only gone off on like 2 floors. It didn't even go off in the whole, but it was like, the building is on fire, like please evacuate or something. Oh my god.
Did you ever find out what happened or like why?
No.
Another example, like we were just in like some time warp. It was so weird.
But this was at the really nice hotel.
That was at Inspire Resort Hotel.
Inspire.
Yeah.
Did you guys go to the first hotel in Korea?
Yeah, we were there for a night.
Was it really bad? Was it like kind of bad? Was it okay?
We have different opinions.
You know, I don't want to bash it, but yeah, no. I mean, I needed to find a new hotel.
Okay.
I couldn't stay there.
I was like, I thought it was really hilarious. So I was like having a good time just because I was like, wow, like this is really special and unique.
The area we were in was really cool.
That's true.
Okay.
It was super cool. The donut shop connected to the hotel. We liked the donut shop.
Yeah.
All right.
And I will say, oh my God, in the dining hall in that first hotel, there was a big refrigerator with bottles of water, or so I thought, clear bottles with clear liquid in it. And I was like, okay, great. I'm really thirsty. We had just gotten off the plane. And so I open it and I take a sip, and it was like, I don't want to get the name right. Wasn't it like Show You? Is that what it's called?
I don't know what the name is. It's some
liquor. It was some
like
24% liquor. 24%. And so here I am, jet lagged, dehydrated, exhausted, and I'm like, oh my God, water. And I take like the fattest swig. And then some dude comes running over. He's like, no, stop. And then he put a padlock on the fridge.
Oh, because he thought you were like stealing.
Yeah, I was like, I just wanted water. Like, oh my God. So
yeah, the language barrier is always tough.
Yeah, so it was just a really fascinating hotel experience. The AC also wasn't working super great for us.
There was no AC.
So
that was a struggle, but it was like we made some good memories there. I will say we have silly stories to tell, so that's always fun. And the food, I will say, was good in that first hotel. I liked it.
Okay, it was comically bad, I guess.
Wasn't the best.
It was entertaining.
Okay.
Yes, for the plot.
yeah.
Always for the plot.
For the plot. I love that. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Shanghai.
Okay.
So you're jet lagged. You go on this river cruise, but then first day of competition. Can you take me through that? Because like everyone was like, all right, World Cup, let's go. And then like results from day one were pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both surprised ourselves. I mean, again, I think, prelims came and we weren't trying to kill ourselves in prelims. I think we knew we could take a little bit easier and make finals in our events. And so I feel like that's kind of what we did. But yeah, I feel like definitely at finals, we surprised ourselves a little bit. It wasn't like my greatest swims ever, but I was like, okay, this like isn't that bad. It's pretty decent. I don't think I was feeling physically my best, but I still, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like they were pretty good swims. And I was also excited about the races. Like I love swimming two breast, and I was really excited to swim 100 IM because we do that a lot in practice, but I never get to swim it at a meet. And so I was definitely just excited to swim those two, but we both had pretty rough doubles that first day. And yeah, doing those doubles was hard. And I think we were both proud of ourselves for finishing them, but Reagan's was worse than mine. But yeah, at each stop, I did about a 200 warm down after the two breasts and then got right back into the ready room for the 100 IM. And yeah, it was definitely tough, but Reagan's was way worse. So like, I don't want to complain about that. I mean, she literally would do a 50 back and then just dive in for a two fly. So.
But I didn't have to do it every time, so that was nice. And in Shanghai, there were only 6 people in the 200 fly, so I didn't have to do prelims, which I wanted to view that as a blessing, but I was terrified because I have a interesting relationship with the two fly where I feel like sometimes I can be way up here with my results and then other times I'll be way down here and I never know how I'm going to do, like ever. I'm just like, all right, let's roll the dice and let's see. And so I almost kind of wanted to do prelims just to see where I was at. And so I was so scared in the ready room for the two fly because that 50 back like really winded me. Like that was hard. And then I swam in that diving wall for like 3 minutes and then I got right back up for the two fly and I was just very, very nervous for that. But then it ended up going much better than I anticipated it to. And Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think after that first day, we were both kind of like, okay, like this could
Yeah.
be a pretty decent series for both of us, which
Yeah.
was like very comforting.
Yeah, I feel like the first stop for me was also about kind of figuring out like I rely a lot on like kick counts and stroke counts in
Yeah,
my short course swimming, and so obviously like I know exactly what to do in yards, but for meters it's all just like a little bit off, and so I feel like it was kind of just about figuring that out a little bit. And so I feel like my final swims were pretty good, but I feel like after those I was like there are things I can change and things I can tweak to try to, hit my walls better and go a little faster. And so I feel like that first stop was just kind of seeing how the events went and seeing what I could fix for the next round.
definitely true.
Yeah. Do you feel like just that first day of racing after having what I assume was a couple days of practices in the short course meter pool, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like where do you feel like you were at in terms of your comfort level of racing in that course?
Like a 2, probably.
I would probably give it like a 5.
Yeah.
I mistimed everything and I never got any better. Like
Yeah.
I feel like all of my
The
backstroke
whole thing.
walls were a bit
Yeah.
long.
My fly walls the entire time were terrible. I never figured that out, so
Yeah.
that was tough. But
Yeah. My Korea 2 fly, every single wall, I was gliding for like, it felt like a second and I just couldn't figure it out. So hopefully we can practice that a bit before Budapest.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So from the swim nerd side of things, like you guys have your first day in Shanghai, and then the Virginia, Florida meet and short course meters happens, and there's just this like insane flurry of there's a world record, there's American records like going down left and right between Shanghai and Charlottesville. Did you pay any attention to that? Were you even aware of it? But also, how did you feel just after seeing? Did you have any reaction to your times themselves and how close they were to certain records or breaking American records?
I mean, yeah, I feel like I was aware that meet was happening and I knew Gretchen was about to, destroy all those records. Just because, I've just never done meters before and I knew that was going to happen. And yeah, it was exciting to see how the team performed there. But again, I feel like for us, like we weren't really, we had no expectations for ourselves. We weren't really comparing ourselves to what was happening there, or like I wasn't even really thinking much about breaking American records, world records. Like I just was like, let's just try to win some races here. Like I feel like for me, I wasn't really thinking about the times or caring too much about those because that just wasn't really what that meet was about for me.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially in Shanghai. I think it was going in and being like, okay, yeah, let's win our events.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we were going to like South Korea and Singapore, at least for me, it started to become more about times because I started to get more of a gauge of like, okay, like what's a good time for this event and like what's a bad time for this event. But yeah, like we saw Gretchen's results and I was like, oh, that's sick. But yeah, it was like expected because it's Gretchen.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I don't know, I just remember I thought it was silly. My 100 back in Shanghai tied her 100 back time, and I was like, oh, well, like, that's funny. I don't know. Like, I thought that was kind of cool because I remember how fast she had gone. And so, yeah, I don't know. But other than that, I didn't really give it too much thought just because it happened in that first meet when we had like no idea what we were in for, I feel like.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, it makes perfect sense. The fact that you, Gretchen, also tied Minna Atherton's like old world record.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Insane.
Yeah, we did. So it was all 3 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
And then you just dusted them. Have either of you? We were kind of used to seeing this as a sport when ISL was happening. But have either of you ever been on a circuit like this where you were competing so often? And I know it was only 3 meets, but how do you feel like you handled that portion of it, especially from Shanghai to Incheon, where you were, maybe still kind of getting a feel for the competition and the travel aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like neither of us did anything like this before. I've never like done like a circuit meet like this before, but in my mind, it was kind of like, I was like, okay, this is kind of like the college season where you're not like really resting for meets, you're just kind of training through. And I kind of was like, I usually did well like in season in college at dual meets. And so I felt like it was something that I could do. But yeah, it was definitely like kind of a learning experience, like trial and error, figuring out how to train in between the stops and just figuring out like what to do. And obviously we didn't have access to like weight rooms that like I usually feel like I need. So it was just kind of figuring that out was hard. But I just kind of had to like trust the process and be like, as long as I'm, doing my best to get done, a practice every day, like it's good enough. But it wasn't easy because I feel like I've been telling people, like, imagine trying to do practices by yourself for 3 weeks in like a meet warm up pool. Like, that's what it was. Like, it was not awesome. It was not ideal. And so I feel like we were kind of just giving ourselves some grace when it came to that, just because it wasn't like a perfect situation for training in between.
Definitely. And I think like at the end of each meet, like at the end of Shanghai, I was so like swim meet exhausted. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to have a couple of days to just like mindlessly practice. But then like Kate said, we're having to do full practices in a meet warm-up setting. And that gets so frustrating, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're trying to do intervals and like dodging like 4 other people or plus that in your lane. And you get so fed up. And so then by the end of like the training week, you're so ready to compete again and like be done with. So at least like that's how I felt. And so I would be this cycle of like, oh my God, I'm so sick of competing. And then it would be like 3 days later, I'd think, oh my God, I'm so ready to compete again. I don't want to train. And so it was basically just repeating that for 3 weeks. So it kind of ended up working out pretty well because I was always excited for like the next thing. If that makes sense. So it worked out like pretty well, I'd say. Yeah.
Were you guys having practices written for you, and were you doing separate practices, or would you do them together?
Yeah, no, we did separate practices. I had Todd send me practices the whole time I was gone. And so, yeah, we would just be doing them on our own, which was tough. I mean, we wanted to like try to do some together, but then we were like, realistically, our practices are so different.
So
Like,
different.
there just would be no point. And so, yeah, we would
Todd
just
and
do them
Bob.
alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, very different. And
Yeah.
so we were doing them alone, which was hard. Definitely towards the end, I was like, I need to go back to practicing with other people.
Yeah. And we would try to go at the same time, which like helped a little bit, but and we'd like talk on the bus too and like on the way to practice and we'd be like, oh, like what are you doing today? And Kate would be like, oh, well, I have a 200 breaststroke practice. I'm like, okay, I have no business doing that. So you do your thing. But yeah, Bob like wrote me a plan and then I did a couple of practices that Derek at ASU wrote me to because I was chatting with Logan, Derek, and Herbie while I was gone, and then Bob as well. So I had a nice little like mix of a lot of different coaches, which was really fun. But yeah, I wish we did a couple together. I think that would have helped both of our motivation, but we just like don't overlap in anything that much.
No, we really just don't do the same thing.
No, at all.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Are you telling me that the Inspire Resort didn't have a weight room?
It had a weight room, but none of them had like racks, like regular racks. It was like dumbbells, which
and like a Smith machine.
Yeah, so I would like,
Hotel.
do what I could, but they didn't have nearly like all the equipment that I usually use on a daily basis. So yeah, it was interesting just kind of like making up lifts as I go. Like instead of back squats, I would just like hold a dumbbell and do squats. And I'm like, I don't really know if this is doing much. But again, I was kind of just like trusting that, it didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to, try my best to do what I could and, it'd be fine.
We had a lot of people, fans, commenters very curious about just swimming fast in season. And I think, as you've said multiple times now, you yourselves were just kind of feeling it out and didn't really know what to expect, didn't put a lot of stock into this racing. But over the course of the series, what do you feel like helped you get more prepared or take these races maybe a little more seriously, or what helped you swim at your best because you did end up swimming quite fast.
You got
I
it.
think for me, it was taking things less seriously. I think that's the key for me because I've been pretty transparent about like my mental struggles, right? And like when I get to the big dance, I can like really freak myself out because I put more pressure on myself. And I've gotten better at that, right? Like I've improved a lot with my relationship with that. But I think I will always like be more excited and looking forward to things more and just like ripping a swim when I know it doesn't matter. And so that is something that we will continue to practice and improve upon. But like it's so fun to do that when like it just there's no stakes involved. And so I think that was the key for me, just like as the meet went on. And like as the overalls were like changing and I started to get more of an understanding of the point system. Like I asked Kate like a million times like how the overall rankings work. And she was
She
like,
had no
"Oh my
idea
God, like,
how it worked. I was like,
really?"
did you not even look at this before we left?
Well, and I was like, I did. I just like feared
You know,
that I could not
yeah.
comprehend it.
Well, I
could
do
see it.
really think it helped that after the first stop, we were like, okay, we're gonna get first and second. Like we just were kind of like it just was kind of like with the points, it was like there's no way it's not gonna be us two at the top. And so I feel like that kind of just like took the pressure off. We were like,
yeah,
we're gonna be fine.
Yeah, that's true. That's another thing. Yeah, absolutely. And that was like a nice surprise too, because I had no idea. Like, again, I just didn't know how the overall rankings work just because my brain couldn't compute it. Silly me without my college degree. But yeah.
Every time she asks me something, I'm like, well, it's because you don't have a college degree.
Yeah,
Dang.
she put me in my place.
Rough.
Once or twice. We're getting there.
We're getting
slowly.
Yeah. I mean, be as honest as you'd like. Like, how much of a toll did the overall standings take on your relationship?
So much. We didn't.
Yeah, we weren't
speak
even
for
speaking
days.
towards the end.
We got in a physical fight on the bus after.
I tried to knock her out before that two back.
It was pretty ugly. No, it was like so fun, and I feel like we were both like, I don't know, like I remember on the bus on the way to Singapore for the last day of competition, like for the two back, you like texted me, didn't you? And you're like, break that world record, like come on, like.
Well, I was like, come on, can you go just fast enough so that we tie the overall?
Yeah,
because it was looking like it was.
And I knew that like in order to tie or beat Kate, I had to break the world record, and I was like, fuck, like, okay, like, I gotta go tonight then. And then I later learned that if we did tie in the overall, then they would have taken, like, whoever had higher aqua points in their best, so then Kate would have gotten it in the two breasts regardless. But, yeah, like, when I touched the wall in the two back, I knew that it wasn't enough for us to tie. So immediately upon looking at the board, I was like, God dang it. Like that would have been so fun. And then I had to like recenter myself and be like, hey, like I just broke a world record. I need to be like proud of myself. But no, that would have been so fun. But
So
like it's
fun.
cool like how close we were.
I
And
know. I was
think
wondering if they've ever had like a race between people where it's that close or that many points. Cause I mean, I don't know if it's normal for like to break that many world records and like have such a tight race. Like it just was kind of cool to like be doing that together.
Yeah, because the men's race wasn't like that at all. And I think it's cool too because again, we didn't overlap in events at all. And so it was like very cool to like be respectively doing so well in our own events. I don't know. It was just like it was super fun. I would just be like giddy after each stop, being like, "We're so cool! Like that was so fun!" And
it was funny. It was just funny how close we were the whole time. Like, it was awesome.
Oh my gosh, no kidding. Is it normal to break this many world records?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's not. but it was awesome to watch. I'm so happy to hear you all feel this way because I know I certainly was feeling this way the whole time.
I'm glad.
It was so cool to watch. And I mean, the final score overall, it was 0.1.
Yeah. I mean, like crazy. It was so close.
And we definitely pushed each other, I feel like. Like, after watching Kate's 212 in Singapore, I was like, "Oh god," like, I'm so motivated to, like, go do that again tomorrow too,
Yeah.
like, just like how we did in Korea, and so, yeah, like, we very much brought the best out of each other, like, in a very positive way. So it was, like it was super cool to be a part of it, it was cool to, like, watch the other person, I think, and I'm glad that, like, other people thought that as well.
Yeah, no, I feel like we fed off of each other's, like, energy and swims,
Yeah.
and it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
So, yeah, just heading into Singapore, do you feel like there was, I guess, just a flow to the circuit that you can put your finger on? Because I know, again, I don't swim or like fast, but like looking at it, I was like, I didn't think there would be world records in South Korea.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know swimming, but because I was like, well, there might be a little slump, and then maybe at the end, people are getting into their groove, and like Singapore will be kind of the finale. And I think that Singapore ended up being the fastest meet, obviously. But how were you feeling by the end of the circuit? You know, on one hand, having found your rhythm, probably the most that you had in terms of swimming and competing, but also being on like week 2.5 of traveling in Asia at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I definitely felt my best physically at Singapore, and I think I felt my worst in South Korea. I feel like, yeah, we just didn't get a lot of training in between, Shanghai and the South Korea stop, and that was honestly one of the reasons that I chose to scratch the 200 IM, because I felt like getting in a day of training was going to prepare me better for Singapore, and so instead of doing 2 IM, I doubled that day and lifted, and so I did a lot of training, and I feel like I got a good day of training in, and so then I felt pretty physically prepared going into the next week of training in Singapore, and I think that really did help me. And so then I felt just pretty good going into that first day, and yeah, I just think um my like each two breasts that I did, I feel like it just got better, and I figured out my stroke counts and stuff, and I feel like after breaking that world record the first time in South Korea, where I felt pretty terrible, and like that wasn't even on my mind. And when I saw that I went that fast, I was like, oh wait, like I think I can like go faster and like try a little harder. And I was like, I was like, a lot of my walls were terrible. I was like, I can add more strokes, and I think it'll be faster. And so, yeah, I feel like I went into that two breasts just really excited to see how those changes were going to improve that race. And yeah, it ended up working out pretty well. And yeah, I went my fastest in all of my events there, which, yeah, I really think that adding that extra day of training instead of swimming 2 IM really helped me. But yeah, I feel like we were ready to just kind of crush it at the last stop so then we could go home.
Yeah, I agree. I think I got better as the stops went on too. And South Korea, I think I felt all right. Like mentally, I was really excited. Physically, I remember my legs felt like really shot the entire weekend, but they were still able to feel fresh and like ready for the races, which was nice. And then heading to Singapore, unfortunately, I got, like, a little bit of some teeny little bug, like, nothing serious at all, and then by the time racing started, I was fine, but I think getting that little sickness actually really worked in my favor because then I was, like, very diligent about, like, "Okay, like, I need to take a big nap today, I need to sleep a lot, I need to, like, really be focused on hydration," and, like, blah, 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 and then I skipped lift that week too because I was like, "I'm not about to, like, make myself feel worse than I already do." So I honestly think I gave myself like a mini taper then for Singapore because I woke up the day of the 50 back and I was like, okay, thankfully I feel like fine now. Because it was the tiniest little like 48-hour blip of whatever. So yeah, I think looking back, I'm like, I think that worked out really well because it gave me like the opportunity to rest more and like focus on myself more before the meet started. So then I think I ended up feeling my best for Singapore. Like my legs felt a lot fresher. And again, similar to Kate, like I feel like I was able to clean up things from South Korea then going into Singapore because I had some walls that I like was not proud of, and I thought I could clean up my start. I'm always deep on my backstroke start, like that's just like my blaring weakness. I feel like, especially when I was next to Kaylee in Shanghai, she kills me on the start, and so I was like, that's something that I should probably think about cleaning up. And I think my best starts were my starts in Singapore, so that was nice too. So yeah, I think we both were like a good example of like being good, better, best at each stop, which was nice.
Nice. Yeah, I did think it was odd that I believe Shanghai was like Friday to Sunday, and then the
Yeah.
next two were Thursday to Saturday. So then Shanghai to Korea, you only had like
Yeah,
3
it was
days.
like
It was tight.
it was like 2 days straight. Yeah, it was really tough. So figuring that out, I feel like was hard, and I think that's why we felt pretty rough there.
Yes. On the first day, I think I was very flustered,
Mhm.
and, like, frantic, and then also, again, hotel was amazing, but it was, like, an hour to get
Yeah,
to and
it was an
from.
hour drive to the pool.
Yeah,
So it was
and so
4
that
hours in the car every day.
that was rough.
So,
That was
yeah, we
really
sat in an hour in a van
Dang.
to get to the pool every single session.
Was
yeah.
it like a lot of traffic or it was just far?
No, it was just
Both. In the mornings, I will say it was, like, 40-ish minutes in the morning,
yeah.
right? And then at night, there was really bad traffic, so then we would be on the bus with, like, John and, like, all of the people who were in the hotel would, like, be piled into this van, like
Yeah. It was only tough. Yeah, it wasn't, like, that bad, but we just, like I feel like the car ride would just put us to sleep, so then we'd get to
Yes.
the pool and we'd be
Oh.
like, "Oh god, now we have to warm up."
Yeah, we'd be so
But,
cozy, and then, like,
yeah.
the sun would be setting, like, it
Yeah,
was
like,
nice.
it was not a bad ride. It
No,
just
Mhm.
it
we
wasn't.
were then not ready to have to get in the pool afterwards.
Yeah, we were ready to go to sleep.
Dang, that's wow. What was it like in Singapore? I guess the commute to the pool.
That was
So
the best
close.
one. Yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was so easy, so that definitely was nice.
Yeah.
But it was also the most crowded meet, and so
Mm.
though
Gosh.
that was definitely top 3 worst warm-up pool experiences I've ever had,
Ever.
um, ever, and I've had some pretty bad warm-up pool experiences. But yeah, it just was like there were a lot of kids there and
Yeah.
just, like, a lot of younger kids, and, like, it was cute and stuff that, they were excited to see us, but it was, like, a lot of, like, everywhere we went, just kids wanted autographs and pictures, and it just was, like, I don't know, it just got kind of, like, hard to handle, like, after a race, like, 20 kids would come up, and I'd just be like, "I have to go warm down, like, I need to eat," like,
Mhm.
don't have the energy, and yeah, the pool was just, like, so crowded, so figuring out, like, warming up in prelims, it was pretty frustrating.
It was so crowded,
Yeah.
and I felt bad because, like, I know that when I was a little kid, I was terrified of the older kids and, like, getting hit with their waves or if they, like, flip turn on me, but, like, when you're a younger kid, I feel like you don't think as much about, like, warm-up etiquette and, like, getting out of the way if, like, someone needs to flip turn, like, you're just standing in the middle of the wall or, like, kids who push off right as you're, like, going like, you know what I mean? And all the Singapore club kids, I don't know why, I hadn't seen this before, but they all really like to do sculling and breaststroke drills, and so, like,
Which is
those
the
are
perfect thing
slower.
to do in warm up.
Yeah, those are slower things to do, and, like, hey, like, do your thing for warm up, but it was like a battleground, like, you were just, like, dodging, like, feet left and right and, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remember after one warm-up, Reagan, like, came back early and she was like, "I just skipped the last 700, I can't do this." I was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, I don't really wanna get in at all."
yeah, yeah.
It was tough.
Dang. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's really funny. And I think again, you're at this like you're on like week 2.5 of traveling. You're
I was
I mean,
definitely losing my patience.
right. And like I don't know, compared to like maybe a pro swim series meet, like I don't you're like tens of thousands of dollars are on the line. Like you're
Yeah.
like, I'm kind of trying to swim fast.
Yeah, no, it definitely was just like, it wasn't like a perfect meet situation at all. Like, the warm-up pools were crowded, and in Singapore, it was all like open air and it was like 85 degrees and
I
so
love that.
humid. Like,
I
I
love
was
that.
happy it wasn't cold, but like, we were sitting in the ready room and I'd just be like sweating, and Reagan loves it. And just like putting on like a knee skin when you're like in a humid like
That's true.
locker room, it's rough. So it just was like, nothing was perfect, but we did just like I was really proud of myself for just like adapting and just being like, okay, it is what it is. Everyone's dealing with this, and it's just, it just makes it part of the story. It's just funny.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a lot of different, like, stimuli between the 3
Yeah.
stops, and I feel like the fact that we were able to handle, like, whatever was thrown at us in each
Yeah.
country, and then still swim very consistently even though, like, all the variables changed
Yeah.
so
I
much,
mean,
I
the
think that
South
was really good.
Korea pool was green, so
The warm-up pool, Kate.
What?
the warm-up pool was green.
Tell me more about that.
Our feet would like slip when we did
Here's the
flip
diving
turns.
well, bright green.
Yeah,
What?
It was tough.
it was fun. But the volunteers in Korea were so kind. Like they were so nice. So
Yeah.
no shade to the green pool, but it was
No,
like
I mean,
it
it was
was like
fine,
wow. Yeah.
but
It was fun.
it was a shock at first.
Yeah.
Yeah, like could you see in it? Or
Yeah.
no?
Oh,
Yeah,
in
it
the
was
warm pool
dark.
it was cloudy.
But
Yeah.
you could see.
You could see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why was it green?
I
Do you
don't
know?
know.
I don't know why pools turn green, but
Who was it? Michael Andrew had a picture of the
he
last
posted
time
it
that
on
he was.
Instagram.
Yeah, and
Mm.
it was like when he was there like years ago, and all the pools are like crisp and blue. And then he reposted like one from when we were there a couple weeks ago, and yeah, the colors had changed
Dang. That's
severely.
wild.
So yeah, it was all about adapting to these circumstances and stuff, which just made it more fun.
Yeah. What are you gonna do at Worlds in Budapest when everything's great?
You know,
Depends on what hotel we're at, right?
yeah.
We had a rough hotel experience in Budapest one time, but
I don't think they're doing that again.
thank goodness. We know how to handle anything now, so
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
Ready.
we can handle anything. But yes, it will be nice to just be at a meet where it's just a little bit more organized, like we're with USA Swimming, like we're not on our own. Like it's going to be a very different experience, and I think it'll feel a lot easier and less stressful for us after experiencing this.
I agree.
So I'm interested because you have this World Cup circuit, right? And it's like, again, you can adapt to each, or you get the race reps in over and over and over. So you can like adapt the races pretty in real time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just a few days later. So then now you have, I don't even know when it is. It's 5 weeks until Worlds. So how do you prepare versus when you were just preparing for the World Cups and you only had like 2 days? Now you have this huge chunk of time to get ready, but also like, I don't know how much you'll actually train short course meters, if at all, during that time.
Kate?
I mean, yeah, I feel like, you know, we have like 4 weeks, I think, until we leave. And so I feel like that's enough time to get in like, you know, a few good weeks of training and try to, I don't know, I feel like for me, just get back into training, get back into lifting, and try to just get a little bit more in than I did before the World Cup, because I don't think I had like a full 4 weeks of training before that, really. So I feel like, yeah, this is just about kind of getting back to it and getting back into shape a little bit to where I feel confident to, you know, do a lot of racing in Budapest. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, we've been training a little bit of short course meters just because I don't know why Todd wants to do that. I think he heard that Florida does that and he does whatever Nesty does. And so we've been training short course meters, which I don't mind, but I think now that we've had this experience at World Cup, we both feel more confident about racing short course meters than in the past when I've done short course worlds. I've gone into it with just literally no idea how to swim it, with just like 2 days of practice, you know, when we're there, and then just kind of go into those races. So I feel like, you know, after just doing all this racing, I'm excited to keep trying to improve, you know, little things in my events.
Yeah, and for me, I'm not gonna have very consistent training this much either, and I'm trying not to stress about it because again, like all fall I wasn't consistent, and then obviously at the World Cup it's like the antithesis of like consistency because we're just doing so many different things. But like, so I've been here this week and my sister's getting married on Sunday, so I'm flying home tomorrow. I won't swim this weekend. Then I'll have one more week in Tempe, and then on like Monday the 18th, then I'm flying to Austin. So then I'll have a couple days in Austin to train, and then we have Golden Goggles. I won't train that weekend, and then from Golden Goggles, I'm flying to Minnesota that week for Thanksgiving, and so then I'll be swimming by myself if I want to swim.
Reagan's
That's,
just jet setting.
Yeah. So I'm nervous, to be honest. And I think, again, the key with me is not overthinking it, because I know I'll be fine because I just proved to myself that I was able to do fine doing a bunch of different random things all fall. And so I think the key with me will be like staying calm and collective mentally, but I was already like I was asking you yesterday, Kate. I was like, "Are you going home for Thanksgiving? Like, are you gonna be able to train?" Like, I was basically looking for validation.
We were texting, and I was like, I'm swimming really slow right now. Like, are you? Like, I feel like we're trying to make ourselves feel better, and I feel like we're both in that same like mental spot where we're trying to convince ourselves, like, we did, like, you know, we weren't training perfectly, you know, these last few weeks, but we still swam well, and so just trying to be like, it doesn't really matter how we do. Like, we're going to do fine. It doesn't matter if our training is perfect these next few weeks. Like, I'm traveling a bit also, and just trying to remind myself that it really is just, it's going to be okay.
Yes. And like, no matter what, like, I think I could easily go faster in Budapest than I just went at World Cup, and I could just as easily go slower. And I think regardless, I don't want to overthink the results. Like, I think I just want to show up and race as best as I can on those particular days and not give it too much more thought than that. Because again, I think for both of us, we wanted to go to Budapest to spend more time with each other, spend time with Team USA, race hard, and like enjoy that too. But like, not be too concerned with the results. So that is like what I will be.
I feel like I'm not putting too much pressure on the results of Worlds. I just like, I committed to it, and you know, I want to go, and it'll be fun, but it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter right now. It's just about, you know, just some practice, racing, and having fun.
And seeing people again.
Yeah.
I love it. These are such good intentions.
So pure.
So pure. Okay, I have a couple rapid fire questions for you just to close this out, because I got some suggestions. I liked some of these questions. Did you have a favorite activity you did during the World Cup that was outside of the pool?
I guess shopping. Yeah, we did go shopping in Singapore, and that was fun.
And in Shanghai, we went to that little mall.
Yeah.
And a little bit in Inspire. We hit the shops.
Yeah, we did some shopping.
And we did a lot of airport browsing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I think that was our thing.
Yeah.
What do you browse in airports?
I was really into perfume sampling and trying to find new lip oils.
Yeah, we would literally just sit in the like perfume sampling areas and just try like 30 different perfumes, because we'd get to the airport like 4 hours before our flight.
Yeah. And you were looking at sunglasses sometimes and like bags occasionally.
Yeah, you know, just keeping myself busy.
Yeah. Okay, on a related note, what do you have splurge items that you're gonna ball out on now that you've won?
We did splurge in Singapore. We bought matching Cartier rings. And that was really exciting. Reagan's wearing hers. But
you don't have yours on?
No, I'm not wearing it. I just got back from practice.
Oh my God. I put mine on in the locker room. I got back from practice too. My hair's wet. Come on, girl.
Yeah, I feel like that was exciting, just to kind of like remember the whole trip by, and you know, I feel like we earned it, and it was fun to have that memory together.
Yeah, it was sweet.
It was.
That's great. What can I ask how much they were?
Kate?
I don't want to say.
Fine. Yeah, it's okay. No need. But that's great.
They weren't terrible. It
wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
You know, even if it was, you guys earned it. I don't know. And you kind of just answered this, I think, but people were curious what you guys bond over aside from swimming.
A lot of things, I'd say.
A lot of different things, just like, you know, life.
Yeah, I think we've like been through a lot of the same things, and but like at different times. Like Kate's helped me through a lot of like different things, and Kate's like my mommy in a lot of ways.
I feel like since we don't live together, like it's nice to, like, I don't know, I feel like we help each other out and like talk about things that are going on in our lives, because you know, they're not like really a part of it and stuff.
Yeah, we like don't really talk about swimming. I feel like that.
No, not very much. No.
Yeah. Why would you?
Yeah, no. Exactly. There's enough of that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Someone asked this. I feel like it's the same but different question, but someone asked who's funnier.
I don't know. I think Reagan's pretty funny. I think she's, you know, like she's got some like little weird quirks.
Phrases.
Phrases.
Kate has incredibly dry humor, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
And she'll always laugh at what I have to say, which also inflates my ego and makes me feel good.
What else?
We
are
balance
friends
each
for?
other. Yeah, we balance each other really well, I
Oh
think.
my gosh, I need to plug my computer in. It's about to die.
Okay, last question. Yeah, we're almost done, I promise. I always ask about hard sets. Someone asked, what's the easiest set you've ever done?
The easiest set I've ever done. I don't know, like nothing.
Didn't show up to pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a recovery practice. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that's coming to my mind is Bob has a set that he likes to have us do whenever we travel. So everyone at like ASU and in the pro group and now Texas probably is familiar with it, but it's 2100s, 5 rounds of 4, and it's 1 free back, 1 kick, 1 pull, 1 IM order drill, and you just vibe your way through that, and then you're all flushed out from your travel. So
I mean, I would say
yeah.
some of Todd's like taper power practices are nice. Like you're usually just like, you know, doing 25s in like 2 minutes, so you get to chat and stuff.
Ooh,
So that's always fun.
2
that does
minutes.
sound fun.
That's great. All right. Well, I've taken enough of your time. Thank you so much to both of you for sitting down and sharing your World Cup experience with us. I really appreciated getting to hearing it. And congrats to you both on such a great fall.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Coleman. Yeah, it's always fun to chat with you.
You've been listening to the Swim Swam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take Swim Swam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.